This right here is a 2005 Mercedes-Benz SL350 Roadster that is known internally as the R230, and it is a model series that launched the brand into the 21st century, integrating styling elements from the 1950s as well as advanced technology like a metal folding roof, and also combined with one of the most reliable power plants, this 3.7 litre V6. I think this is the best combination to pick from. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you why. First, we're going to start off with a brief overview about the R230 SL, and then I'm going to run you through the different options and models that were available, and then we're going to move on to the design, its interior, the powertrain, and then of course, I'm going to take it out for a drive. Let's start this video talking about a brief overview about the SL. So in 2005, specific to the Australian market, the R230 had a price range between $209,000 and going all the way up to $450,000 for the SL65 AMG. And in regards to options and packages, there were various exterior colours to choose from, and there was also a wide selection for interior colours and wood trim options. But aside from that, there were some standalone options like a TV tuner, Bose audio system, heated and ventilated seats, Distronic cruise control, parking sensors, active body controlled suspension, an AMG external body kit, and lastly a timber steering wheel. And the SL's direct rivals at the time were things like the BMW 6 Series convertible, the Porsche 911, as well as the Jaguar XK. And moving on to the timeline, the R230 SL was launched at the 2001 Frankfurt Motor Show, replacing its predecessor, the R129, and it was offered in either a V6, V8, and a V12. And it was also the first SL to debut with a metal folding roof, along with some noteworthy models like the SL55 AMG that featured a 5.4 litre supercharged V8, and as well as the SL65 AMG V12. And lastly, a special thank you to Unique Motor Garage for allowing me to film their SL that they have currently listed for sale. And if you'd like to get in contact with them on your next car purchase, I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's now move on to the design. So the colour of this example is finished off in brilliant silver metallic, and in regards to other key features, up the front it has xenon headlights. So that means, like other Mercedes-Benz models from this era, this generation SL features the twin rounded headlight design, and this design theme takes inspiration from the 1999 Vision SLR concept. And if we look towards this section here, you have the Mercedes Heritage badge on the bonnet, as well as a light grey radiator grille, and lower down on the bumper, an air vent along with two halogen fog lights. And looking at the SL from the side, as you can see, this particular car has been equipped with 18-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels, which were a factory option when this car was new, and they're also wrapped in Pirelli tyres. And if we look towards this section here, as you can see, there are these large air vents that resemble the 300 SL from the 1950s, and they're also finished off in this brushed chrome, along with the two air vents on top of the bonnet. And you've also got more of that brushed chrome on the door handles, and finally on the left hand side an antenna. And now moving towards the rear design of the SL350, towards the back it has incandescent globes along with LED strips down the bottom, and if we look at the boot, a third brake light up the top here along with an SL350 badge, and if we look lower down, twin chrome exhaust pipes. So inside the Mercedes SL R230, what is it like inside? So before you climb inside, it features central locking, a remote key, and finally the key itself slots into the ignition. And in regards to the overall design, apart from some of the tech, which is starting to look outdated, this is a very nice cabin to sit in. And some of the key design highlights include this 1950s styled analog gauge cluster, and as you can see, this car has been optioned with the charcoal leather interior, so you have this two-tone black and grey, as well as a black leather-wrapped steering wheel that feels good to grip onto, and it's also complemented by the black ash timber, and that extends towards the centre and even along the doors as well. And in regards to how it all feels, the doors feels pretty sturdy and solid. There are also soft touch materials on the top surface, and you've also got soft touch materials on the dashboard, and even when you look lower down towards the centre, and this section feels pretty sturdy. And you've also got a soft to the touch armrest. And if we move on to its comfort features, the seats themselves are finished off in high quality leather, and they also include electric adjustment with memory, extended lumbar support, and 2-stage seat heating. And you've also got an electronically adjustable tilt and reach steering wheel column, and finally dual zone climate control towards the centre. And if we move on to its technology, as you can see, being a 2005 update, this SL has been equipped with the updated command, cockpit management and navigation system. And in regards to its key features, if I go into audio, you have FM and AM radio, along with CD and DVD. And right behind me, there is a CD changer in the storage compartment. And if I click on map, as you can see, this car has navigation. And believe it or not, this car has the ability to connect to Bluetooth. So there is a Bluetooth dongle in the center console. And you've also got steering wheel buttons to answer and receive calls. And finally, an 8-speaker sound system. And if we look towards the center, being a 2005 update, it features a slightly revamped gear selector. And the button over here is to swap it from comfort to sport. You've also got mirror controls, and this tab here activates the metal folding roof. And up the top here, you've also got Parktronic parking sensors, as well as some sensors behind me as well. And in regards to other key safety items, this car also has ESP and ASR. And these two buttons here are to raise the deployable rollover bar, along with a button here to activate the washers for the xenon headlights. And up the top here, cruise control, and if I push this in, it activates a speed limiter. It also features digital instrumentation, so using the steering wheel buttons, you can cycle through different menus like your fuel consumption, navigation, media functions, and other various menus. And right in front of me is an analog gauge cluster, which has been inspired from the Vision SLR concept. And it also features a green font, so on the left hand side you've got a speedometer and temperature gauge, and on the right hand side a rev counter and fuel gauge. And lastly, storage. So the glove box is a fairly decent size that is also air conditioned. You've also got good storage towards the center around here where the Bluetooth dongle is kept. And if I open up the second section, you've got better storage that is also air conditioned, as well as a cup holder towards the center. However, that looks a little bit flimsy to me, so I'm just going to close that up. And looking lower down, you've got a 12-volt socket and an ashtray. And on each side of the doors, you've got these two storage sections that also fits a small bottle of water. We've also got these two storage sections down below underneath your knees, which aren't really that big, but it is nice to know that they're there. Up the top here, you've got vanity mirrors with two little lights on the top sections. And right behind me, there is enough space for two small briefcases, or even maybe a gym bag. And if I open up these sections here, as you can see, that is where the CD changer is kept. And on the left-hand side, you've got empty storage on that section. Okay, moving on to the boot. So if I open this up, as you can see, it reveals 288 litres of boot capacity, which makes it large enough for a large suitcase. But it is worth mentioning, if you want to put the roof down, you need to slide and clip in this parcel section so the roof can sit on top. And that of course decreases the capacity to 206 litres. And in regards to other key features, on the right hand side there is a 12-volt socket, and if I open this up, as you can see, there is a space over spare wheel, along with an air compressor and some gloves, as this generation SL sits on run-flat tyres. And in this next scene, I've laid out all the factory literature, owner's logbooks and the owner's manuals, so you can see what all that looks like, as well as the two factory remote keys. And finally, when you close the boot, as you can see, it has the self-close feature. Okay, moving on to the powertrain. So this car features the same 3.7 litre V6 from the W220 S-Class, which means it is the exact same engine block as the 320, and also known internally as the M112.973. And all this is paired to a 5-speed automatic transmission that sends all of its power to the rear wheels. And this powertrain puts out 7 kilowatts more than the standard 320, so 180 kilowatts in total, as well as 345 newton meters of torque and a 0 to 100 time in 7.2 seconds. It's also worth noting that all the 350s came with coil sprung suspension opposed to ABC active body control suspension, and the SL is also the first Mercedes to introduce an electro-hydraulic brake system, which Mercedes themselves refer as SBC. So behind the wheel inside the SL350, starting off with visibility, I can clearly see what's in front of me, good side vision as well, decent sized wing mirrors, and even on the third quarter and the rear window, visibility is also very good. So what is this car like to drive at lower speeds? Well, in comparison to the SL500 with ABC suspension, there isn't a huge difference in terms of refinement or adjustment agility. This of course is sitting on coil sprung suspension, and the car also sits low to the ground, and it's also got a wide track with a long overhang at the front. But going back to the ride comfort, as you can hear, yeah, it's a little bit unsettled, but it's not unbearable. But it isn't a huge difference in terms of refinement in comparison with the ABC suspension setup. So if I was to pick between the two, I would personally just stick with this suspension, because in terms of refinement, it's still very comfortable. You do sit low down in the seat, so it is a different experience compared with an S-Class Mercedes or some of their other cars, but you still have the added refinement and all the comfort features. The seats are nice and wide like they are on an S-Class, and of course you've got all that adjustment. The SL also has a turning circle of 11 meters, so that means it's nice and maneuverable around the city, and it also features speed sensitive steering, so it's nice and light at lower speeds, and when you do reach higher speeds it firms up for more control. And in comparison to the R129, that car featured a recirculating bore steering setup, whereas this generation SL features a rack and pinion power steering setup, so it is a lot more controllable in terms of agility. And if I talk more in depth about these drive modes, I've currently got it in comfort, so if I take off, it's quite refined, and when I accelerate, it is a little bit laggy in terms of gear changes. Don't forget, it is a 5-speed gearbox. It isn't as responsive as a 7-speed or any of the Mercedes-Benz models with the 9 or 10-speed. Whereas if you put it in sport, which is my personal favorite setup, as you can hear, the gearbox is a lot more responsive. There's more power at your disposal. It's got a really nice exhaust note. It's probably not as engaging to drive as a Porsche 911 or even a BMW 6 Series, but performance-wise, I think it has really good pickup. It's refined at high speeds, as you can hear. I can't really hear anything coming from the roof. And there are also no creaks like what you would hear in an SLK or another car with a soft top. And in terms of fuel consumption, Mercedes claims this car could achieve 11 litres per 100, whereas I've managed to achieve around 10 litres around the city, and that also dropped down to 8 litres on the freeway, which I think overall is pretty acceptable for this type of car, and considering its age, that's pretty good. So with my driving impressions out of the way, let's now wrap up with a verdict. So what is my final verdict on the SL350? Well, of course it's spacious inside, it's comfortable, it's practical for this type of vehicle, and driving around you do feel very special, and in my opinion, equipped with this powertrain and this specification with no ABC suspension, I think this is the sweet spot in the R230 range. And compared to something like a Porsche 911, it will be a lot cheaper to maintain. But let me know what you think of my verdict down in the comment section below. And if you gained value from this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and of course, I will see you in the next film. Thanks for watching.